Part of me kind of hopes she stays there for the whole video. The other part of me hopes she shuts up. Hi YouTube, it's Kathy, and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up from May 7th to 13th. This week I read 4 books, I watched 3 shows, I watched 2 movies, and I listened to 1 book. First this week I finished In the Labyrinth of Drakes by Marie Brennan. This is the 4th and penultimate in the Lady Trent memoirs series. There's not a lot I can say without potential spoilers, but in case you missed my wrap-ups of the first 3 books, these books take place in a fictional world that's much like Victorian England, but there are dragons, and our protagonist Isabella is a naturalist who travels the world and studies dragons. She gets into much trouble and adventure along the way. Why are you both grooming right now? Like, is this the best time? Really? My library seems to have just gotten the 4th and 5th book in this series on audiobook, so I have it on hold, but I also have a print copy on hold, and I'm going to consume it however it gets to me the fastest. Brennan's writing is witty and delightful, and the text in this book was a deep red color, which I forgot to take video of because reasons. Hey! Stop that! Don't Eat the Ottoman. Second, I finished Text from Jane Eyre by Mallory Ortberg. This is exactly what it says on the tin. Text conversations between various literary characters. And it's full of snark and modern vernacular, and is great if you really want to read something but you do not want to read too deeply. I haven't read all of the books in plays that are paraphrased in here, but I feel like you don't have to be 100% up on your classics to enjoy this. Third this week, I finished Noteworthy by Riley Redgate. I've heard this billed as pitch perfect and she's the man, and that's pretty accurate, but then add a bunch of diversity and social consciousness, and that's basically this book. Jordan is an alto at her super fancy private art school, which she's going to on scholarship because her parents could not afford it otherwise. She's not being cast in roles because of her specific vocal range, and when a spot opens up on an all-male a cappella group, she cross-dresses and tries out. This book touches on so many intersections: race, class, ability, gender, neurodivergence, and unlike any other cross-dressing tale I've seen, it actually addresses the cross-dressing. The protagonist realizes she is using tips from the internet that are meant for trans boys, which makes her reflect on the difference between people who are just trying to go stealth and people that are cross-dressing basically for funsies. When somebody accidentally sees her naked when she's in boy mode, it's refreshing that they ask if she's trans as though it's not a big deal, they're just surprised. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Finally, this week I finished The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. I technically finished this at 2:30 in the morning on Sunday because I just couldn't put it down, and minus the animals in this apartment, I had the place to myself so I could get really cozy and just read. This isn't a sequel to Albertalli's supremely wonderful Simon vs. the Homo Sapien Agenda, but it does take place in the same universe with a little bit of character crossover, and it follows Molly, who is a girl that has a lot of crushes but has not been kissed. There is a lot to love about this book. The narrator made me snort laugh on several occasions. Her twin sister is a feminist badass. Several sexual orientations are represented, and although there isn't an ace character, there is mention of being ace. Molly is also part of a Jewish mixed-race family in which one of her moms carried her and her twin, and her other mom carried her little brother years later using the same sperm donor. This book made me cry and made me feel all warm and mushy, and was a delightful way to spend an evening. As for movies, this week we watched Step Up 3 and 4, which I had never seen before, and we spent a lot of time snarking about the shots that were intended for 3D, and how some of the dances, while delightful, made the characters seem like jerks. The writing wasn't great, but the dancing was awesome if you can suspend your disbelief about these characters being able to afford all of the gear and all of the lights and all of the things. I also watched the first season of Drunk History. I'd seen clips of the show before, so I knew the basic premise, but there was a lot more over-intoxication than I was expecting. As one narrator said, puking on Drunk History is like crying on Barbara Walters. If you don't know the show, someone gets drunk and tells a story from American history, and then actors play out the story as it was told using the dialogue from the drunk narrator. I expected Hannah Hart levels of tipsiness, not blackout vomiting drunk, which made me feel like the show was taking things way too far. It actually made me glad that I decided not to drink at all this year, even though I drink in moderation. The dialogue integration with the actors was funny, but there were times where the story just didn't make sense. I am always here for swearing, but that's the type of thing that gets bleeped out, and cultural insensitivity gets left in. The show was remarkably well put together and well cast, but it does make me cringe at points. Saturday night, I watched the season 2 premiere of Sense8. I was expecting a regular length episode, but it was a double. I liked seeing the characters again and catching up on what had gone on, because it's been a while since I watched the first season. Something that bothered me while watching it, however, is the entire main cast is thin, muscular, and beautiful, with ridiculously maintained bodies, which fine, makes for great group sex scenes. However, on a practical level, Sun is in solitary solitary confinement in prison and has perfectly hairless legs and armpits. This show has ethnic diversity, but no body diversity. The same thing came up for me this week while I was watching Survivor. I was distracted by Sierra's perfectly manicured blue fingernails, and none of the women have leg hair. Our society or media's perception of it is so freaked out by body hair that women shave already smooth legs in razor ads. As much fun as it is to look at this, casting only ridiculously defined bodies makes it feel like average bodies aren't allowed to be appreciated. Oh yes, this is a perfect time for you to hunt for food. That's gonna make shooting a video hard. This week I listened to The Inexplicable Logic of My Life by Benjamin Aller Sines. This book follows Salvador, who is called Sally by his best friend and Salvi by his father, through a pretty intense last year of high school. His mother died when he was a toddler, and he was adopted by his single father into a wonderfully large Mexican-American family. On his first day of school, he gets into his first fistfight and starts wondering if this violent tendency comes from his biological father. At first it felt like this book was a haphazard collection of moments from Salvi's life, which made it a little bit difficult to get into. But overall, I really enjoyed this method. These snapshots allowed you to get to know characters piece by piece, and I really cared for all of them. Life is full of moments, and ordering them into one story does take an inexplicable amount of logic. The voice actor for this project, Robbie Darmond, had distinct voices for all of the characters and really brought them to life. That's it for this week. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about them down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you next week. Bye! I like that you're slowly falling off the couch. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Oh, now you're going to chew on the other foot. Okay.